YouTube? Back in the day gamer here. Thanks for tuning into my channel and Merry fucking Christmas. Yeah, it's still Christmas. Tree's still up. Still got my Christmas jammies. It's cold outside. It's still Christmas. And to help further continue the holiday celebration this year, I invited some YouTube friends of mine over here to the channel to regale us with some Christmas stories past about video games they received for presents at Christmases back in the day. So I'm gonna pour myself a bowl of my favorite holiday cereal, Christmas Crunch, and sit back, hear some stories about Christmases past.
What's up, YouTube? Josh coming at you. When Back in the Day Gamer asked me to collaborate on this with him, I got to thinking about different memories I had for the Nintendo Entertainment System from back being a kid. I fell right perfectly into that age range. It may not have been my first system, but it was definitely the first system that I truly loved the most. I got to thinking, what memory could I share with you guys? And I thought about sharing when I actually got my Nintendo, but I've shared that once before with y'all. So I decided to share one from a Christmas a couple of years later. I got my original Nintendo system in 1987, I believe it was. Didn't have a whole lot of games, and a lot of you guys, I'm sure, probably kind of experienced a lot of games through video rentals. You'd go rent them, you'd get them for a couple days, a weekend, maybe a week if you were lucky, if your parents let you. So a lot of times you would get stuck with games that you really didn't like because you had rented them for the weekend. You know, they weren't the finest games. I'm going to tell you about a Christmas gift that I got. So 1989, I believe it was, I asked for a football game that you guys may know well. I asked for Tecmo Bowl for the Nintendo. This is one of the better, it's probably one of the best football games on the console. Maybe Tecmo Super Bowl improved upon it a little bit, but this is definitely a dinger of a football game. So I'd asked my parents for this game for Christmas that year. Christmas rolls around, we open up all our presents, and my family didn't have a whole lot of money, so if I got, you know, a couple of games or something like that, or a couple of action figures or something, I was doing great. So my dad, I go to his house because my parents were separated, and he gives me my presents, and I unwrap a football game for the Nintendo, but it wasn't the game that I was looking for. We got the LJN NFL football. Now, I was happy to have it because anytime I got a game, it was pretty special. So it was great to get the present, and I was happy for it from my parents, but this game is not this game. Any of you that are familiar with the NFL football and Tecmo Bowl, they're not even on the same level. This game is slow, it's clunky, the play calling really kind of stinks. It's just hard to control it and really hard to play it, while this game is an excellent masterpiece of a game. Nonetheless, I figured I would share that memory with you guys because I know a lot of you out there probably were in the same position as me, where you got games and you were like, well, I'm glad that I got the game. I'm glad that somebody thought of me to give me the gift, but it really wasn't the game I wanted, and it's not a good game, but you were stuck with it. So, nonetheless, played the hell out of it. Merry Christmas, everybody. Hope you all have a great holiday and Happy New Year.
Oh man, that sucks. You thought you were getting Tecmo Bowl, and you end up getting one of the worst games on the entire system. You can still buy that game for 99 cents. That just goes to show how bad that game is. You must have been a really rotten kid that year. Thanks for sharing that story with us. So anyhow, we're going to shoot over to CM Retro and see what his story is from Christmases past.
What's happening, YouTube? CM Retro here to share one of my favorite video game Christmas stories from back in the day. Now, video games and Christmas go together like peanut butter and jelly, and we all have fond memories from Christmas Day opening presents. But one of my favorite Christmas presents of all time was getting my Nintendo 64. I got that from my girlfriend in high school, my wife now. And then, of course, even before that, more back in the day before that, we got our Super Nintendo with Jurassic Park and Mario Kart. So crazy. But the story that I want to share happened even further back in the day. Okay. My brother and I sneak down the stairs. We find 2 gift bags with our names on it. By process of elimination from feeling the bag, we knew they were Nintendo games. So he snuck back up the stairs, got a butter knife, went back down the stairs, carefully opened the bags to see what Nintendo games we were gonna get. My brother got Ninja Turtles 2, and old CM Retro here got Silent Service. It was absolutely much funner back in the day.
Oh man, I thought Josh's game was bad. That's 0 for 2 right there. That's what you get for snooping. Santa switched him on you because he knew you were being bad. Well, hopefully, this next story involves a game that doesn't suck. Let's go over to Mr. Matthews and see what he's got to say.
Hello, I'm Mr. Matthews, and I've been invited here today to tell a Christmas-related video game story. The problem is I don't have any really good stories, but I do have a bunch of mediocre ones. So my plan is to tell a couple weak stories, and hopefully when they combine, it'll kind of work out in the end. Now these two anecdotes work out pretty well because they bookend my experience with the NES. So let's just get into it, but first, festive. Now back in the day before I had an NES, I had a Atari 2600. And one of the hot titles for that system was a game called Pitfall, this one right here. Now this may be difficult to accept, but just take my word for it that this game was a system seller back in the day. This was basically like, I don't know, what are the kids into these days? Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok. This was the Elden Ring God of War Ragnarok of the Atari 2600. I mean, look at it. You could run left to the right, you could jump, you swing on vines. It was a very big deal. Now take this with a grain of salt because I was only like 5 or 6 or 7 years old at the time. But from my perspective, I was born to own this game. But for whatever reason, I just never got it. Until one Christmas, one fateful Christmas, when I actually received this game finally under the Christmas tree. And it was a glorious time indeed. That was the best present that I got that year, and I played it for, I honestly can't tell you because I do know that this was the last Christmas that I actually had my Atari 2600, at least in any real relevant sense, because shortly after that, the NES started showing up in stores. And once I saw Super Mario Brothers running on a TV at my local drugstore, yes, they actually sold video games at the drugstore at the time, I forgot all about the 2600 and this shitty primitive game. Now, flash forward ahead like 5 or 6 years, I'm at the end of my time with the NES. The Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo, I believe, are in stores right now, but I still only have a lowly NES, so those are the kind of games I'm asking for Christmas. And the game I asked for Christmas that year was Tom and Jerry. Now, I loved the Tom and Jerry cartoons, still do, and when I saw this game in Nintendo Power, I knew that I had to have it. So instead of asking for, I don't know, Castlevania 3 or Mega Man 4, 5, or 6, or whatever was available in stores at the time, this is the game I asked for, kind of an obscure game. And as it happens, this is my childhood copy because Santa did deliver this game to me for that Christmas. But enough about that game. My sister that year asked for a different game, Little Mermaid. Now this did put us in a tricky spot though, because even though we each received a game that was uniquely ours, the Nintendo was not in a common area, it was in my room. So basically this meant that I had more access to my sister's games than she did. And this was the only game my sister owned. Now anyone who has played both of these games probably knows that one is a little bit more fun to play than the other. This one. Yeah, so I played my sister's game more than the game that I actually asked for myself. And I probably played my sister's game more than she ever did. And that's not because I like girls' games. This is actually a good game. So I mean, you know that, right? Now, to be fair, I did warn you that these are pretty weak stories, so I will leave you with this. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Little Mermaid? That's your story? out of all three of you guys, the best game that was had for Christmas back in the day was Little Mermaid? Perhaps I should have specified that we wanted this to be like a happy story, to make it sound like back in the day Christmas was awesome. But that's what we're telling people? I guess it's up to me to save Christmas. Here's my story. We're going to keep it short and sweet, but it's pretty awesome. One year, must have been the year Mega Man 2 came out, because both my aunt and my uncle bought me Mega Man 2. Obviously, it's an awesome game. Way better than the games we had already talked about. Way better. Whoa, I got two of them. I didn't get one, I got two. So I took one of them back, guess where? To Toys R Us, the greatest toy store there is. Didn't have the receipt, because back in the day you didn't need it. Just strolled on in to Toys R Us with my unopened, sealed, complete inbox. God, what's that cost now? I'm gonna put it up on the screen. Copy of Mega Man 2. Was like, I want to return this. Handed me a voucher. $59.99 plus tax. So I'm running around Toys R Us with $60 in my pocket. Alright, you know, I'm around 10 years old or something. So I am rich. Rich. Can buy anything. I didn't pick a video game. Not sure why. But what I did get, clearance. On clearance. The WWF ring was about that big. Rubber ropes, turnbuckles and stuff. Picked up that, I want to say the ring was only like $20. And then they had a whole slew of guys on sale for $5 a piece. So I got me the ring and $40 worth of WWF figures. I still have them, but they are not here. So I will enter some footage that I stole off the internet. I don't need to tell you how awesome that Christmas was. Not only was I playing Mega Man 2, but I was also WWFing. That's right. Because when I watched wrestling back in the day, it was called WWF. Because back in the day was awesome. Thanks for tuning into my channel, everybody. And seriously, I want to thank Josh. I want to thank Chris. I want to thank Mr. Matthews. I'm going to put a link below to all their channels. They've got some Christmas videos and whatnot out. Make sure you check them out. Because yeah, I know, it's the middle of January, but it's still Christmas. Big thanks to you guys for taking time out of your busy holiday schedules to get that for me. And hopefully you guys enjoy watching it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Until next time, Merry fucking Christmas. Keep it retro.
My wife absolutely hates these things.